Have you ever watched a rapper blow up overnight and thought that can't just be talent? One minute they're broke, grinding, invisible. The next, it's mansions, platinum plaques, and a version of them that moves like they owe somebody everything. Lil Flip has been in this industry since he was 16 years old. He's watched the offers come in, felt the pressure up close, and seen what happens to the ones who said yes. He didn't look away. He didn't sugarcoat it. He sat down in front of a camera.
You made a comment about how you was one of the few rappers that never sold their soul. What made you say that?
Because I know majority of these rappers.
Pay attention. Think about the last time a rapper you loved suddenly changed. Same face, same voice, but the energy shifted. The hunger was gone, replaced by something hollow, something performed, something that felt borrowed rather than built. Flip says that shift isn't random. He describes a pattern so consistent it stops feeling like
Be going on behind the scenes. I know who not really in control.
a deal arrives with terms that aren't written in the contract. Spiritual stuff, weird stuff, the kind of stuff that gets laughed off until you've seen it enough times to stop laughing. Flip was flooded with millions from the time he was 16. He woke up one morning and thought, damn, they almost got me. Almost. That word carries everything. Here's what separates Flip from every other artist who's hinted at this conversation. He doesn't keep it vague. No cryptic Instagram posts, no riddles about symbols and secret handshakes. He tells you exactly what showed up at his front door. A man came offering to pray over his home. Flip said no. Not because he doesn't believe in prayer. He grew up in the church, sang in the choir, played piano for God before he ever touched a studio mic. He said no because he knew who that prayer was really for. That discernment didn't come from fame. It came from a foundation his family built in him long before the industry ever came calling. He started doing music for God. That's a hard thing to corrupt. The money was never the mission. Big Daddy Kane was calling it out, and EPMD was screaming about it through the 90s. Bow Wow brought it up in 2011. That's nearly 4 decades of the same conversation running on a loop, and still nobody ever names names. What makes this moment different is that Flip isn't speaking in abstractions. He's speaking from proximity. He watched artists he knew personally take offers he turned down. He watched their careers detonate. He watched the machine reward the ones who complied and quietly erase the ones who didn't. Not erase their talent, erase their visibility. Pull the marketing, kill the radio play, make the fans assume they failed. Silence is the industry's sharpest weapon, and the fact that you stopped looking for those artists, that was the whole point. Look again. Flip doesn't waste time romanticizing the streets or performing toughness for the camera. When he talks about fake relationships in this industry, he sounds less like a man venting and more like a man reading from a ledger. Every entry documented, every broken promise filed away. He calls it Hollywood talk. An artist walks up, big smile, man, I'm a fan, we gotta do something, take my number. You take the number, they never answer, then you catch them in an interview calling you one of their favorites, and when you see them again in person, they look at you like you're a ghost, like the conversation never happened. 99% of the artists he's encountered did some version of that. Not his words twisted for drama, his direct count. That number should make you uncomfortable. It made him a realist. Here's something the industry never wants you to understand. Visibility is not the same thing as success. They are two completely different currencies, and the machine controls only one of them. Flip points to Houston as proof. The scene didn't fall off. The budgets disappeared. No million-dollar marketing campaigns, no billboards, no radio saturation drilling names into your skull until you believe the hype is organic. Without that financial megaphone, even a packed tour and a loyal fan base starts to look like failure from the outside. That's not an accident. That's architecture. Paul Wall still touring. Slim Thug still eating. Flip still booking shows. Still moving, still building. The industry just made sure you stopped looking in their direction. Perception is the product. Always has been. Before we go deeper, because it gets significantly darker from here, if this video is making you rethink what you thought you knew about this industry, hit subscribe right now. The next video connects dots that most channels won't even touch. You don't want to miss it. Now, let's talk about Atlanta. Young Thug built an entire generation of sound, a label, a culture, a movement that rewired what Atlanta rap could look like. Then came the RICO case, prosecutors reframing YSL not as a record label, but as a criminal enterprise. And while Thug fought it, exhausted every appeal, and eventually pleaded guilty under terms that still keep him tethered to the system, Gunna took the Alfred plea, walked out the same day, dropped an album, got praised by critics, and landed back on every playlist. The industry never turned its back. That pattern has a name. Flip didn't need to say it. NBA YoungBoy doesn't move like an artist who feels safe. He drops music like a man racing a clock only he can hear, project after project, video after video, confessions piling up faster than any label schedule could demand. That kind of output doesn't come from ambition alone. Listen to the cadence of how he talks about his catalog. It doesn't sound like confidence, it sounds like urgency. Like a man trying to get everything on record before something catches up with him. The system, the streets, or the version of himself he might become if he slows down long enough to be reshaped. For the fans who've always sensed the industry uses artists up and discards them, YoungBoy's energy doesn't feel like paranoia. It feels like someone who already understands the terms of the deal and is quietly refusing to sign. Some battles are fought in silence. DaBaby stood in a room at Diddy's LA mansion in 2020 and watched the guest list shrink. People got asked to leave one by one until only about 15 remained. And suddenly he was standing in a private circle with Jay-Z, Beyonce, and a handful of the most powerful names in the music business, with Diddy's arm around his shoulder like a selection had just been made. He told that story like it was a flex, and on the surface it sounds like one. But if you've spent any time following the Diddy allegations, the Epstein connections, the pattern of private mansions and shrinking rooms and powerful hosts choosing who stays, that story stops sounding like a blessing and starts sounding like a blueprint. You don't need anyone to say the word ritual. Your brain already connected the dots. Some rooms cost more than the invitation lets on. What happened to DaBaby after that night didn't arrive all at once. It came in waves. Cancellations, child support drama, scandal after scandal, bleeding into his public image until the artist who once felt untouchable started looking like someone the machine had finished using. Flip's framework makes that trajectory legible. Once you're influential enough, you become an asset. They assess your value, make the offer, and wait. If you perform your purpose, the machine protects you. If the narrative around you becomes inconvenient, they let the current pull you under and nobody in the building throws a rope. That's not pessimism, that's the operating manual of an industry built on leverage. DaBaby's rise was meteoric. His fall was engineered just as precisely. When the system decides your season is over, the exit looks nothing like what you signed up for. Lil Baby presents a different kind of puzzle. From the outside, he looks like the perfect anti-sellout story. A street rapper who turned raw pain into platinum, stayed loyal to where he came from, and built a reputation on never standing next to anyone the streets don't respect. Hip-hop has always worshipped that image. The codes, the loyalty, the public declarations about what he will and won't tolerate. It's the armor that makes fans feel like their artist is still theirs. But Flip has spent decades watching this industry operate, and he offers a quieter, more unsettling read. The ones who shout the loudest about codes are often the ones with the most to protect behind them. Being handpicked doesn't always look like a ceremony. Sometimes it looks like a carefully managed reputation. Sometimes the realest image in the room is the most carefully constructed one. Perception remains the product. Here's what Cat Williams said that reframed the entire conversation in a single breath. He pointed to people who make their living turning fiction into something so convincing audiences buy it completely, and asked a simple question. Why would anyone be surprised when those same people produce a real-life story that turns out to be just as constructed? That's not a conspiracy theory, that's a professional assessment of a creative industry where narrative is the primary currency. The line between entertainment and manipulation was never as clear as the industry needed you to believe it was. Flip operates from the same logic without the theatrics. He doesn't need elaborate theories because he watched the machinery work in real time from the inside with offers on the table and pressure applied from every direction. What he's describing isn't hidden in symbols, it's hiding in plain sight inside every career trajectory that moved too perfectly, too fast, with too few consequences. Open your eyes wider. The artists who vanish from mainstream visibility don't always disappear because they failed. Sometimes they disappear because they said no. That distinction matters more than anything the industry's marketing machine will ever tell you. Flip draws that line with surgical precision. No major deal backing him, no million-dollar promotional budget amplifying his name across billboards and radio waves, but he's still touring, still recording, still walking into correctional facilities to perform for men who haven't heard live music in years, and watching their faces change. That's not a fallen artist, that's a free one. The industry measures success in streams and chart positions because those are metrics it controls. Flip measures it in relationships, longevity, and the ability to look himself in the mirror without flinching. By that standard, he's been winning the whole time. Freedom rarely trends. It doesn't need to. What Flip built without the machine's blessing is quietly more durable than almost anything the machine manufactures. The same promoter since high school, the same phone number for decades. artists he mentored coming back years later telling him they read his book and started booking their own shows. That infrastructure, not the kind that gets written about in Forbes or celebrated at award shows, the kind that outlasts every industry cycle, every trend, every carefully engineered rise and fall. The culture vultures at the top don't build that. They can't, because it requires actually caring about people more than their purchasing power. Most artists spend their career chasing the room Flip walked away from. He spent his building something the room could never take back. Longevity isn't luck. It's the compound interest of treating people right when nobody was watching and the cameras weren't rolling. Step back far enough and the full picture becomes impossible to unsee. The careers that explode overnight with no visible ladder climbed. The artists who walk out of impossible legal situations completely untouched while others doing less serve years. The ones who change not just their style or their sound, but something deeper, something behind the eyes after certain rooms and certain offers and certain nights that never make it into any interview. Flip isn't asking you to believe in monsters lurking in shadows. He's asking you to take seriously what's visible in plain daylight if you're willing to look without the filter the industry hands you at the door. Patterns this consistent don't emerge from coincidence. They emerge from design. The system was never built to elevate talent. It was built to harvest it, monetize it, and replace it the moment it stops being useful. The artists who figured that out early either got out, got independent, or got swallowed. There was never a fourth option hiding in the fine print. So here's where everything Flip said lands. Not as the ramblings of a rapper chasing relevance, but as the testimony of someone who was present, who was offered the deal, who understood exactly what was being asked of him, and who chose his soul over the spotlight when most people in that position would have reached for the pen. He kept God in everything. He kept the same number. He kept showing up for his community when the cameras were gone and the industry had moved on to the next project. And quietly, without the machine's permission, he kept winning on his own terms. The question Flip is really asking isn't about rappers or rituals or secret rooms. It's a question about what you're willing to trade when the offer arrives looking like opportunity, because it never announces itself as a compromise. It walks in dressed like a blessing, and by the time you feel the weight of what you gave up, the version of you that existed before that room is already gone. Choose carefully. Some transactions don't come with a return policy. You've now seen the full picture Lil Flip has been painting for decades, not with drama or desperation, but with the steady clarity of a man who looked at the machine directly, understood every gear and lever inside it, and walked away with his integrity completely intact. The industry didn't break him, it didn't buy him, it didn't make him disappear. And everything he predicted about the artists who took the deals, the rooms that reshaped them, and the system that discards whoever stops being useful, you watched it happen in real time to real names while Flip kept quietly building. The next time a career explodes overnight, ask what door was opened and what was left on the other side of it. The next time an artist vanishes, ask who made that decision and why. The answers have always been there. Flip just refused to let you look away. If this video connected dots you've been sensing for years, subscribe now and share it with someone still sleeping on this conversation. The next video goes even deeper, and trust us, you are not ready for what's coming. Disclaimer: the content in this video is for entertainment and informational purposes only. It does not constitute professional, legal, financial, or psychological advice. All perspectives shared are based on publicly available statements and interviews. Consult a qualified professional for advice specific to your situation.